Um, Gold Rabbit, giving an update about where he's at again, and Sherman Oaks. This place was not what I thought it was gonna be. So first of all, I got here on what's today? Saturday. I got here on Thursday, and then I looked around. They have a movie theater here, but I'm like, I'm not going to the movies again until I see Demon Slayer. Now I could go to the movies and see like Fantastic Four or something else. Maybe I'll change my mind, but I don't feel like watching the movies here. I might change my mind and see that Fantastic Four, that Superman movie. I actually will because yeah, I gotta do that. But I got here and I was like, okay, the drive here was kind of, all right. You know, I didn't mind it, because I got on the bus from somewhere. It was somewhere in like Beverly area and shit. And then I got on and I got here and I'm like, all right, this is cool, it's all right. I left my shit somewhere and I was like trying to run around like the mall that's here. So like, because like in malls and shit, they don't want you to have this and that, typically. But I left it somewhere. Long story short, I had to like, I had walked around the area to see, what was there and other stuff, right? Went to this, place, Krav place. Of course, I needed some funds that I didn't have to like get in there, but it's alright. I'll get into that shit eventually, when I have some funds. But don't worry about that, because I almost lost my shit, yesterday. I did, all that stuff. I almost lost my partner here. Lost all my shit yesterday. Um, but thankfully, one of the guards on duty, this guy, was like, "Don't throw it away. Somebody might need it." So yesterday, this happened yesterday, and I was like, "Okay." I sat my shit down, and then I came back later, and it was gone, and I was like, "Okay." Um, and then I walked around, and I was like, seen some people, just like looking around the area, nothing like too crazy and shit, right? Then I came back and I was like, I still think my shit's there for some reason. I think, I've talked to somebody who like knows about the loss prevention or whatever, and I did, and they had all my stuff, and I was like, damn, they bagged my partner up, they put him in a bag, and then they put the suitcase. It was there, and I was like, okay, cool. I got my shit, and I stopped by, IHOP. I didn't eat IHOP. Not there, actually. It's funny, I ate IHOP before I came to Sherman Oaks, but I slept by IHOP for the past couple days. And then after that, um, I then went to, or actually, I'm going to, because today is another day. I made videos on my other channel, right? Um, but I'm gonna go find the Grove, and I think I am gonna go to those movies and shit. But once I find people who want to like help me out and shit, right? And who want to be my friend and subscribe to these channels and be cool on the corner, or as the Green Angel would say, but on the sidewalk. Um, because I'm trying to get out of this situation now, but it's tough, you know. But there's hope. There is always hope. As long as you stick to what you see, your vision, you don't get too involved with other people, but you also don't distance yourself too much. And I don't, there's people everywhere around me, at all times and shit. I sleep outside. I'm in public, you know. But um, I also got this for free today. Somebody was cool enough to, get this for me. It's a hot dog on a burger bun. I'll show you in a minute. This shit's like blowing away. The wind's playing games right now. A hot dog on a burger bun. It comes from this place called Almost Famous. I said, that must be me or something. I'm eating a almost famous burger. Burger, bun, hot dog. Um, and it's all right. It's still just okay right now. You know, Hopefully, I'll find a shawty that's cool and fuck with my dick, and one of those girls I like. I know who they are. They know who they are. I don't say names out of respect. That's respectful, not disrespectful. I understand, girls do other things, but I need to hop around and get my funds and say, cool. Um, so subscribe to this channel and keep watching because this is a come up. This is the journey of my life, going from nothing and obtaining things. Almost lost my whole thing is almost lost everything I had yesterday for the third time, but thanks to whatever you might, call it, luck or, God or whatever the fuck. I was saved and shit, and this guy, had my shit. And he was like, next time, make sure you don't have it there. So I have to I want to move around, better, but I always have to carry this shit around. You know, I wish I had somewhere to just store it and, move around. Come back to it and it's not fucked with, But, I'm still, doing what I can and, I'll do better and, it's not easy living this kind of lifestyle. I don't wish it upon anyone because it's for me. Be cool and do what you gotta do in your life to get by. Keep living and thriving in what you have already. Maybe, bring somebody else into it. Like somebody like, I don't know, me or somebody else, that you really fuck with. You could make a difference in somebody's life just by having some consideration, for them, is what I'm saying. But be cool crawling on the sidewalk. I'm gonna be hopping around. Cause I gotta go see those movies and shit too. And make my money too, cause I always love money. But be cool, as the Green Angel would say, and then as I'm saying, keep living your life, doing what you gotta do, good, bad, whatever, those times are, that shit's not forever. It's just, moment. It's momentary and shit. People, will put you down and play games. And, they don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you're going through, but you do, and that's powerful because you have the ability to get out of it. So keep living.